I can see I can see a number. So there's 5 right now that are online watching us. So hello, everybody. So as is our practice, this is the first meeting of the year, and we elect a new chair. As the acting CEO, I will call the meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. And welcome to David O'Brien, our newest board member. David, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Looking forward to it.
So in accordance with BL 03, we'll elect a chair and vice chair at this first meeting of the year. So to begin, I would like to call for nominations for the chair of the Haliburton County Library Board. Are there any nominations? Carol?
I would like to nominate Sally Howson.
Okay. Liz?
I would like to second that nomination.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? I don't see Cease on the picture, so I'd just like to.
Where did he go?
I don't know.
He
Oh,
was.
chair is there.
He's just not in the picture.
He's just not in the picture at the moment.
Sounds like he just fell over.
Sorry, that's not funny.
There,
So, Cease, we have so far 1 nomination for the position of chair for the library board, and that nomination was made by Carol and seconded by Liz, and that is Sally Howson. Are there any other nominations for the position of chair? No? Okay. So according to our bylaws, if only 1 person is nominated, no election needs to be held. Oh, but first, sorry, there is a motion. Be it resolved that the nominations for chair of the Haliburton County Library Board are now closed. Can I have someone move? Andrea? And second, I see Carol's hand up, so I'll put down Carol. Sorry, I'm looking from one screen to the other, so if I miss you, I apologize. So since there's only 1 nomination, no election needs to be held at this point, and the person can be declared acclaimed. So that will be Sally. So I will read out the motion. Just give me 1 moment here to complete the motion. Oh, sorry, I should have said all in favor of the previous motion. If I could see hands up. Thank you. Sorry, Andrea?
Do we check if Sally accepts the nomination?
Oh, yes, Sally, would you like your name to stand? I suppose that's important.
Yes, I will put my name forward. I will stand to be chair. Yes.
All right. Thank you, Sally.
Me leaving, running from the room or anything.
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board appoint Sally Howson to the position of chair. Can I have someone move? Linda? And I see Carol's hand up for a second. All in favor?
Yes, I am.
That motion is carried. So Sally, as chair, you now take the position of chair, and in a board meeting where we're all together, I would just hand you all the motion sheets at this point.
Yes.
Would you like me to email those to you now, or would you like me to just read them out with your prompting?
We'll read them out when I'm prompt, because I won't be able to, it'll just get too confusing with the screen. So next meeting I'll have them and we can do it properly, but that should work just fine.
Absolutely. Okay.
Okay, so looking at the agenda, we have the election of the vice chair to go through and do, correct? So
That's
do
right.
we have anyone nominated for vice chair? Oh, Liz, sorry.
I'd like to nominate Andrea Roberts as vice chair.
I second that nomination.
Does anyone wish to put their name forward for vice chair? Okay, so we can put a motion to vote.
Or maybe ask Andrea if she's
I
willing.
accept the
Hi, Andrea, do you
nomination.
want
I'm currently vice chair and I'm happy to stay as vice chair.
We'll
Thank you.
continue on. Yes.
So there's a motion to close the nominations for vice chair. Would you like me to read that out, Sally?
Yes, please.
Be it resolved that nominations for the vice chair of the Haliburton County Library Board are now closed. Moved by
Oh,
Sally. And I saw Linda's hand up for a second. Okay, the nominations are now closed.
and since we don't have an election, I'm assuming it's the same because that's done, correct?
That's correct. So I have a motion that I can read out for you. Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board appoint Andrea Roberts to the position of vice chair. Moved.
Liz and
And
Lynn,
second. And Linda, okay. Okay.
okay, so we'll continue
Oh,
on.
sorry.
Sorry?
Did we do an all in favor there? I apologize.
Oh, all in favor of? Okay. So we're good to move forward with the agenda? Okay. I have
I
to say,
apologize for the awkwardness of this meeting. It'll be much easier when I send you the motion sheets prior to the subsequent meetings.
that's okay. We'll get through this. This is great. Welcome to our new board member, David O'Brien.
Thank you.
So thank you for stepping up and being part of the board. It's an interesting, libraries are always very interesting places and very central to our community here in Haliburton County.
The first thing I did when I moved to Wilberforce or Harcourt 6 years ago was go to the library and get a membership.
Excellent.
Great
And I've
start.
been. Mhm.
So we start off with the presentation of the agenda.
I have a motion for you.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board accept the agenda of the January 13th, 2021 regular meeting as presented.
I'll move that.
And I see Andrea as a second.
All in favor?
Just a point of order.
Yes.
As you're now chair, Sally, you can actually recognize the mover and the seconder, and Erin can record that she's
Okay,
got
that'll
the.
speed it up.
Yeah, well, no, but because then she doesn't have to look at the screen. As a chair,
Yeah.
you can recognize who's doing what.
Oh, okay, yes. You'll have to help me with a few points of order. I know all you councilors and mayors are really good at all this stuff, but I have chaired meetings, but not at such a formal level. So, but all of you will help me, I know. The next on the agenda is the declaration of pecuniary interest. For anyone to declare? Okay. We don't have a motion for that, do we, Erin?
No.
Okay, next is the adoption of the meeting minutes, which were in the package. Is there any question about them? Is there a motion to read?
Yes.
So Sally, just can I just interject again for just a point of process is, Sally, you can just say, may I have a mover and a seconder?
Oh, okay.
And then Erin can scribble in the name, read it, and then you call for the vote. And then that's easier to do.
All right, that'll speed it up. Do I have a mover and a seconder, please? Linda and Carol? All in favor?
She has to read the motion first.
Oh, she has to read the motion.
Well,
Okay.
don't you worry, we'll get you there. We'll get you
I
there.
know, I know. Well, it's interesting when you sit in a meeting, but you don't actually do something. You think, well, I've sat, how many meetings have I sat in? I should know this. But when you're not actually doing it, you kind of like let this all go through. Okay, Aaron, up to you now.
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board adopt the minutes for the December 8, 2020 regular meeting and the December 16th, 2020 special meeting as presented.
All in favor? That's a yes. Next on the agenda is the orientation, which is the scheduling of board training.
So I spoke to Peggy Malcolm from the, well, it's soon to be the Amalgamated Ontario Library Service. She has been with the service for 30 years and has worked extensively with rural public libraries in Eastern Ontario. And she was the one who was originally supposed to do the training that we had scheduled back in March of 2020. And we all know what happened then. So she's willing to do a Zoom session with the board, and she's willing to do that within a board meeting, if that makes things easier for everyone. Does the board have a preference for which meeting you would like to see that in?
Andrea, you have a question or?
Well, I think it depends on the time frame. So we generally allot maximum 2 hours for our meeting, and we hopefully finish by around 5:30, 5:45, but sometimes it's borderline on 6. So, and that's with a regular agenda. I hate adding special meetings, but I also don't want to be meeting till 8 o'clock at night. And it's hard enough. We've almost went through lunch today. I don't want to go work through dinner.
As a potential option is under the Public Libraries Act, so historically we have had, last year I should say, we had 9 meetings scheduled with room for there to be special meetings. Under the Public Libraries Act, we can have as few as 7 meetings in a year. Would it be a good option to call a special meeting for that particular day and have a reduced agenda as a result, and that it could just be really orientation at that point? So it'd just be on your regularly scheduled, the second Wednesday of the month, but.
Is that okay with everyone? Any questions? Will 2 hours be enough?
I think so. She said she could make it to whatever the board needs it to be. So, so she's happy to do what fits within what the board can do.
Carol?
So we normally meet, don't we, at 4:30 to accommodate Ruben's employment schedule?
4 o'clock.
Oh, is it always 4 o'clock?
4, yeah.
Sorry. So even if something's added on to it, you know what? This is the 3rd day in a row that I have sat in front of a computer from 8 o'clock in the morning until like now, and it's like, wow. It just means that, going back to what Andrea said, is it just takes it, 2 hours, 6 p.m. And because it's of the day that it's on, members of council have probably been in a meeting all day because it's on the same day as committee of the whole, or at least all morning. So
Could we maybe pick a date where you guys don't have a committee of the whole meeting? Like move it to a Thursday rather than have it on the usual Wednesday, or whatever day is better for people?
whatever day isn't Algonquin Highlands, Dysart, Highlands East,
Council meeting.
or Minden's council meeting.
Which,
And the problem with that is that Ruben is often not available, so it would be kind of dependent on his availability. I mean, I'm assuming that there may be some days that he's available earlier, but I don't really know that.
Andrea?
The dreaded doodle poll. Dun, dun, dun. There
Yeah.
is the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays at the same time. like starting at 4 o'clock, but only having that on. However, I do like the idea, Erin, and lots of times the things that are on our agenda, we had it where I believe we didn't have quorum one time, so we deferred a lot of items. So things like the reports that we're going to be receiving after this subject, when you look at our agenda today as an example, all of those things could be lumped together in 1 month. They're librarians' reports, and like, so I kind of like the idea of sticking it on a regular committee day, but either that or looking at the first and third Wednesday.
Any other thought?
For me, this day, the second Wednesday in the month, is perfect. I have a few other boards that I'm on that have meetings on Mondays and Thursdays.
But how about an alternate Wednesday for you though, David? Like the first or the third?
Yeah, I'm just looking now. Next month, the first and the third. See the third Wednesday in February, I have an HTDC board meeting at 5:30. So it's those kinds of things, and these have been long. These have been scheduled for a long, long time. So if you want to stick with the second Wednesday, I'm willing to work around any time that day at all.
Liz?
Well, if we were to have the meeting on the second Wednesday, sort of similar to what Andrea was saying, couldn't we just have the training session and then add things like performance reports or like some of the informational items to our following meeting, and just kind of double up a little bit on information? I just looking for us to have as much time as we can for the presenter and for us to ask questions. And
So what I'm hearing is we would just have a condensed agenda and primarily focus on the training.
Yeah.
And which I think would work. Cease. Oh, you're muted, Cease, or?
I was going to suggest maybe we could get the regular stuff down to say a half an hour. And if the orientation could be an hour and a half, it would fit in quite nicely.
Carol?
Yeah, you could, in order to do what Cease just suggested, if you don't have on that particular day, don't have any policy review, and the other items are really just a consent agenda. So you could just have all those the circulation, branch reports, internet access. It could all just be one motion. Just they're fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good point, Carol. I think that would work.
Okay, so I hear agreement that we would have, you said a consent agreement, consent
agenda, yeah, where you put a number of reports and you accept them all at once under one resolution, and they generally tend to be reports that don't need speaking to. They're just reports like we have of numbers that we see all the time, and we're not seeing any dramatic fluctuations that need discussion. So the things that don't need discussion could just be lumped in one resolution. They're done. Move on.
Okay. Everyone agreeable with that?
Yeah. Question for Aaron or the chair. Are the meetings every second Wednesday of every month during the year, or are there months where we don't meet?
Aaron?
There are months when we don't meet. So generally we haven't met in June, July, or August.
Okay.
And last year, the board, when we scheduled our meetings, had opted not to meet in March, and I believe that was because of conferences. Am I correct?
Yeah.
So that had us at 9 meetings for last year that had been scheduled, and scheduling meetings is one of the items of this agenda as well.
Okay,
so
I'll wait for that. I just want to get the dates in my calendar as soon as I can so that it's locked off and safe. But I'll wait till we get to that item on the agenda.
Okay. And just for a point of order, we raise our hands and I will acknowledge the speaker. just for, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Otherwise,
Thank
it
you very
gets
much.
pretty
Yeah.
confusing sometimes. We're confusing. Everyone
Yeah.
gets excited,
Yeah.
and wants to say something.
Under-
Yeah.
Understand. Thank you very
Well,
much.
and I'm new at this, so we're all playing along here, getting it together. So, Erin, you'll get in touch with the individual, and we'll set a date on our regular meetings.
Yeah.
And then for that, when we have that date, so when will it be in February, do you think? Or
I think it can be in February if the board would like it sooner rather than later.
Liz?
Yeah, I think that, we've got a new member and we've been looking for this for quite a while. So I think probably the sooner the better. If we can do it in February, that'd be great.
Great. So yeah, if you can get in touch with her, and hopefully February will work for her, and then we will have a condensed schedule agenda for that meeting. Okay. So we're good to move on to the performance reports. The first one is the circulation statistics by branch. Any questions on that? And do we do a motion for all of these, Erin, or is it just?
Yeah, there's a motion for all three. One motion for all of them, yeah.
Okay, and the circulation statistics, any questions on that one? And the public internet access, everyone had a chance to look at that? Okay, I think we can go ahead and read the motion.
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board receives the performance reports for the period ending December 31st, 2020 for information purposes.
Liz and seconder, Carol, everyone approve? Okay, so that's good. The county librarians report, any questions on that? Liz?
I just, because it's not actually on my agenda, and to be perfectly honest, I did not have a chance to read those documents that Erin sent separately. If there's anything to highlight, Erin, that you think you might like to mention?
Sure. In the report, I give a summary of staffing. We currently have 3 staff members on leave, 1 admin and 2 branch staff. Our new 2 part-time branch staff started in December. So they were trained and onboarded, and they have started to take shifts, which is great. I'm still attending the county's emergency operations control group meetings, and I found them to be very useful, particularly in the past week. And I actually sat on one meeting over the holidays as well, as a result of the implementation of the lockdown. I still sit on the county's Joint Health and Safety Committee as a management member. And then the rest of the report was really just a rundown of kind of the situation we find ourselves in so far. So just in terms of what the timeline has been since the pandemic began, really.
Okay, so there's no other comments on the report? A motion to accept the report? Oh, Andrea?
I'm just moving it.
Oh, you're
I'll
moving.
move.
Sorry,
Yeah.
and Dave will second. Everyone accept it?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Branch Services Librarians Report, any comments on that?
Oh, could I make one comment? I'm not sure whether this is the most appropriate place, but Aaron, I can't tell you how many kudos and compliments we received in Algonquin Highlands for Nancy's work on 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. The book,
Oh,
that
yeah.
was the pop-up book, and her reading of that was just superb. And I'd love if you'd pass that on to her.
I will do. She'll appreciate that.
So that was the Christmas presentation for those who may not know. They had, yeah,
We had a virtual Christmas in Algonquin Highlands.
very nice. All right, mover and seconder to accept the report. Liz and Linda. All in favor? Okay, next we have the financial reports, the expenditure report. Any questions on that? Andrea?
Just a comment. Sorry, it's hard to open and click these things that fast, but just in terms of any surplus, that it was discussed at our budget meeting. Was that Monday?
Yes.
That and Aaron reported that any surplus would be transferred to a library surplus. So I just thought I'd point that out.
And I know, Andrea, you had asked, I think the previous meeting as well, when we need to do a motion to authorize that transfer. I spoke to Elaine and we can do that in our February meeting. So she likes to have that done as close to the closing of the books as possible, just prior to the annual audit.
Okay, so we'll slate that for February then. Any other comments? Do we do the financial all in one motion? Sorry.
There's going to be, there's a motion for the expenditure report that I can read out to you now, Sally.
Okay.
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board receives the expenditure statement for the period ending December 31st, 2020.
Someone to move and second? Liz and Andrea? All in favor? Yes, okay. The 2021 budget update.
So I just wanted to update the board that I did do a budget presentation to County Council on January 11th. That was this past Monday. And I believe that the budget timeline is approval in either February or March, I think is the target. The councilors can, yes. So that is where we are in that process at this point.
Anything to
There are
add?
no apparent red flags raised at that time. Not to say that there won't be at some point in time, but the meeting went pretty smoothly, actually.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, the motion.
There's not a motion for that one.
And cost of living, we received. That was in a separate email, correct, Aaron?
No, the report's attached to the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Would you like me to take the board through that, Sally?
Sure.
Okay. So in December, County Council received a report prepared by County HR with the recommendation that all non-union cost of living increases be brought to Council at the time of ratification for the length of the term negotiated by QP Local 1960. That is the negotiation that informs our cost of living increases for non-union staff. So I am bringing the recommendation to the board that we do the same for library staff. And the recommendation is that the cost of living increase negotiated by QP Local 1960 for the years 2021 to 2023 be provided to non-union library staff effective pay period 1 each year. They have negotiated an annual 1.75% increase for 2021, the years 2021 through 2023. This is something we generally pass at the board level annually. This would just make things a little bit more efficient, is all. So if the board would like to do this, I have the recommendation for you.
Andrea?
So I'll move that, but I just have a question, which kind of, sorry, goes back to your budget presentation yesterday. Did you not say that you included 2% in your budget?
Yeah, there's generally a 2% budgeted increase. So that includes things like the cost of living, as well as.
Yeah, but I
wages
thought in
and
your wages line you had, I thought you said that in your wages line that you presented was 2%, but it's 1.75.
The cost of living increase is 1.75. So there's also grid movement as well that occurs on an annual basis. So that's also budgeted for.
Okay, so I'll move this resolution.
Okay, someone to second?
I'll second.
Dave?
So be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board receives the report on non-union cost of living, and that the cost of living increase negotiated by QP Local 1960 for the years 2021 to 2023 be provided to non-union library staff effective pay period 1 of each year.
Liz?
Question.
Oh.
So just to be clear, the 2% that was included in the budget is for this negotiated increase, cost of living increase, plus the grid movements that are being.
That's correct.
Okay, very much,
Yeah.
thanks.
Okay, everyone's happy with that? So you're going to move and second the motion? Someone?
I had Andrea and David down.
Oh, sorry.
Fine.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
You just need to vote.
Okay, everyone in favor? Okay, so we have the library policies, and those were part of the agenda package. So Gov 06 planning policy. And this is an in-cycle review, just according to the schedule. Any questions, comments, Liz?
In the second paragraph, when it talks to the planning process ensures that the library is able to respond to changing needs and trends in the community, and key decision makers in the community are aware of the need to make a long-term commitment to HCPL services. I don't think that we can include that. I mean, how do we ensure that people are committed to? I mean, we can make people aware of, we can tell them the importance of library services to our economy, but we can't ensure that they make a long-term commitment to the library. I mean, it's sort of, I guess it's out of our control to do that. We can provide the information, but we can't ensure the commitment.
I believe the policy.
Clear as mud.
Sorry.
Yes, Erin?
I believe the policy statement is more as to the why we need to have a planning process, as opposed to making people commit. I think it's to.
Well, there's my concern, is in the wording. It sounds like we're asking or trying to ensure that commitment, and it just, the wording bothers me, not the intent.
Any other comments on that? Carol?
I think there needs to be I'm a grammar nerd. There needs to be a semicolon in there. I think it should say the planning process ensures that the library is able to respond to changing needs and trends in the community, semicolon. And to accommodate what I agree with Liz, and perhaps it should then say semicolon, and that key decision makers are continually made aware of those needs and trends. Because being aware is different. I agree with Liz. You can't, to me, what that says is And county council is made aware of the need to fund the long-term commitment to the library. I mean, we're already a partner there. So
Mhm.
it's just a funny language thing.
Andrea?
Well, I'm just going to maybe make a suggestion, since our policy expert is not able to attend our meeting today, is maybe we just defer this, because it
Okay.
was supposed to just be a housekeeping issue. That doesn't mean that we change the wording, but I haven't had time to really wrap my head around the different semantics of what's being proposed. So it's just an idea to maybe defer this one, but then try to rework wording in the middle of a meeting. And maybe we could reach out to, because I don't know if the planning or the policy committee's meeting.
I don't know when we're meeting. Carol?
I don't disagree with, I think as counselors, we've had a really long couple of days.
Yeah.
So I don't disagree with deferring, but I have to say that I object deferring because a person isn't here. We are all policy experts, and I'd like to think that we are sufficiently experienced enough to lay the words down on the page appropriately without having to wait for a person. But I'm happy to wait until we maybe have a closer look at it.
If I could suggest that we defer it, send it back to the policy committee, and then they could rework on the language. It's normally how we do it, right, Erin? If we just want to.
Typically beyond major amendments, yeah.
Was there anything else in this policy that people had questions about or comments? So shall we defer it, or do you want to do the wordsmithing now?
I'm fine to defer.
Okay,
I would rather do it now, but again, it's not, as I said a number of times in our meetings today, it's certainly not a hill I'm going to die on. I do find it a little bit frustrating that, you know, as has been mentioned in recent meetings, I think actually it was Liz that mentioned it, that what was the question was asked, what's the purpose of the policy committee meeting to go through all these policies just to change some of the from library board to board or whatever those changes were? That seemed like an awful lot of work for not a great semantics change or interpretational change. And so I just not looking for a debate on it. I just question that we would send it back to the policy committee. It just seems very piecemeal to me.
okay, well, if
But doesn't matter to me.
what would people like to do?
Just defer it, because I think to me, sorry, I put my hand up. I forgot to put my hand up. That's what's been suggested. There's kind of some bobbing heads around the table, and I think by our collective confession, maybe some of us aren't prepared to do some wordsmithing today.
Okay,
Look at Andrea's face. Oh my God, no.
you guys have had a long day, so that's why I thought the wordsmithing might, you know, we'd all get tongue-tied. So let's just defer this policy and send it back to the policy committee with the comments. Andrew?
Exactly, with the comments, so that it's fresh in your mind. You're going, why is this coming back to the policy committee? So Erin, if you've made note of that, is to question that. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Yeah, so we're not scratching our head trying to remember what the heck it was that. Okay. We then have the other policy, Gov 07, financial control and oversight. This is an in-cycle review according to the schedule. So I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it. Any questions, comments?
I did have a comment, but I've got to find it.
And Carol, just as a reminder, when we did change the, you know, to the library and the public library, that's just done now as we go through and refresh these policies, right, Erin?
That's right. Yeah, it's really just as we're updating templates and things like that. The only reason you see it is because I have track changes turned on while I'm doing the policy work so that you can see the changes to the policies. So yeah, they really are just me finding and replacing those terms.
Liz, did you find your,
You know, I can't even see it. But in the document, it talks about the treasurer or that the under financial control, that we're accountable to the public on our expenditures, and I'm just not, I can't just, because of the way the numbers have all been changed around, it's like I had gotten number 2. But I also thought that there should be some accountability, and is some accountability to county council for how the expenditures are. Now, maybe I'm talking in reverse because we've approved the budget ahead of time, but
It's kind of hard to, sorry, I do have my hand up. It's kind of hard to comment on your comment.
because I can't find it.
We can't find
Yeah.
it.
I know.
Are you speaking about the policy statement at the beginning, Liz?
Yeah, I guess I am accountable to the community, to the community for our financial affairs. I guess it was my thinking that somewhere Haliburton County might come in there as you know, the primary funder of the library. That's not a minor change, though.
cease?
The policy, did it come from a template of another library where there is more public involvement in finance, as opposed to the situation we're in where the public does assist, but for the
This
most
is-
part, the accountability is to the county?
This is a fairly standard policy as well. Under accountability, it includes the county. So under the policy statement, it's broad in that it's talking about community, because we are funded by the county, the provincial government, as well as a number of other avenues when you think about fundraising and that type of thing. So I believe that is why the policy statement is as broad as it is in terms of community. Under the procedure, under section 1, accountability, we include the county
Okay,
as well
guess that covers it off then.
Yeah.
as obviously our largest funder.
Right. All right, does that resolve your question, Liz? Nope, your hands
Yes.
up.
Yeah, it does. I guess I was looking for something a little more, you know, motherhood in the opening statement, but it's there, so that's fine. The other point, and I'm having difficult finding it too, but it speaks to opening an account, like bank accounts.
Yes.
But we don't actually do that, do we? I mean, it's the county that has or do we
That's
have?
correct. This one has always been a little bit of a strange one, but we've received interpretations from the ministry that have told us that this is allowable, in that our books within the county are treated separately from the county as a whole. So when we get audited on an annual basis, our audit is treated as a separate audit, even though the county maintains our accounts and our books. So it's always been a bit of an odd one, but we have received interpretations from the ministry that it is correct.
Cease?
So in essence, the account is with the county,
Yes.
because it refers specifically to chartered banks, credit union.
I could ask to revisit that if the board would like.
Cease and then.
My question that I was going to raise up was, in this particular case, like in the case of the county, we set up our own stuff. But in many cases, we have an auditor that comes in, we subcontract to them, and then they do all the auditing for us. I'm wondering in this particular case, although the county does all of the bookkeeping in that respect, I mean, could they be, for the purposes of the library system, considered a subcontractor, in that we as a library board have subcontracted the the tracking of everything to the county. And then technically speaking, does that make sense, or am I wrong?
Well, you may not be wrong, but that's not what my concern was, is that this specifically says that we will open bank accounts. You know, or suggests bank, it says chartered bank, trust company, credit company,
I
by the
see.
board, and we don't
Yeah.
do that. At least I'm not aware that we have separate bank accounts.
Andrea or Aaron, do you want to respond to that?
Well, but it's the very next line that covers us, right? So when you read all that, it's that the direction may be achieved by accounts and accounting services being provided by the County of Haliburton. So that's what we're doing. And it's been cleared by the ministry that, or the, whatever, Aaron, that you just referenced earlier, we are allowed to do that. So
Aaron?
we've delegated it to the county.
Mm.
That's exactly what I was going to say, what Andrea just pointed out.
Have we ever opened a bank account for any reason that you know, Aaron? Is there-
Not in my time here, no.
Okay, I was just curious if there had been a special case, money had been donated and it was a separate thing, whether a bank account had ever been opened, but clearly not. Okay.
No.
So any other comments, questions? Andrea?
Just as you touched on that point about a donation. So if it was a donation for library services, that can go to the county, and which we've had to be directed for specific program or something at the library services. Someone could make a donation to the municipality for the building. Well, here's money to buy a new carpet or something, which we did in both 3 fundraising campaigns with Wilberforce Minden and Dysart. And then we have the Friends, but they've got their own, they're a totally separate entity, and people donate to the Friends or they do fundraising. So, and then they work with staff to determine. So there are ways to still donate, but it, you know.
Right. Cease?
Probably getting too deep in the weeds here, but will we ever be in a position that we would want to use or have value in a GoFundMe account? And would that be considered a separate account, or does it go to the county? I'm just asking.
I can speak to that a little bit. We have a Canada Helps account, and we actually have that through the County of Haliburton as well. So
County.
yeah, those donations go to go through county finance.
Okay. Liz?
I'm sorry, I'm still, I know that last sentence in that paragraph does kind of clarify the practice, but the policy still allows us to open up bank accounts. You know, if you look at it that way, and I would like to, I don't know, I'm still not completely comfortable with the wording of the policy in that it allows separate accounts. And I guess I would be happier if it said this direction will be achieved as opposed to may be achieved, so that it's clear that that's what we're doing. Somehow I'm just a little unsettled by the wording.
Carol?
I don't disagree with Liz, but I don't think we need to, you know, nickel and dime it to death. I think Liz's suggestion is adequate, and it may also include that the direction, this direction is achieved, and maybe we just add in by resolution. Is there a resolution on the books that says that the accounts and accounting services are provided by the county? And maybe that would just wrap that up.
Do you know that, Aaron?
Oh, you mean like, is there a resolution that was passed sometime?
Yeah.
In the
So the act, what I'm saying is the act says the treasurer will open an account, but we're not doing that because the county does it. So that's clearly stated there, but it could be perceived as a bit murky, and there always is the chance that some untoward, you know, nefarious person in the future could go and open an account. I doubt that's ever going to happen, but you know, it's either, it may be just resolved by saying, you know, this, as Liz said, this direction has been achieved by virtue of accounts and accounting services being provided by the County of Haliburton. Then It's not done. It's not a future decision. It's a confirmation of a decision that's been made.
I'd have to look in past minutes and see, and I'm not sure whether those would be in our minutes or in the minutes of county council or whatnot. So that could take some time to find.
Carol?
However, the fact that you adopt this policy by resolution is in fact the resolution.
Mhm.
So I think we could wrap it up really easy by just taking Liz's suggestion. This direction has been achieved by the accounts and accounting services being provided by the County of Haliburton. Pass that you resolution to pass the policy, then it's entrenched, and that direction is entrenched in policy and the resolution.
And the resolution that we have can just be passed or adopt, the policy can be adopted as amended.
Amended.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
Are people okay with that, amending this
Mhm.
policy and moving forward with it? Dave?
I am completely in favor of this and would move that motion. Just as an aside, in my experience, most boards and commissions that are in municipalities are usually, their finances are usually handled by the county or the municipality in which they're located. And that makes it very convenient for the board or the commission. And if you go and get a bank account, it's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
You know, it costs money to set these up. We've done that in some of the other boards I'm on around here, and it's especially in the not-for-profit world, and it's very expensive and just puts an undue burden on the cost of the library. So I would support the motion to amend accordingly, and I'll move it if you want.
Liz?
I'll second.
Second? Do you want to read out the motion with the amendment, Erin?
Be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board adopt Gov. 07 financial control and oversight as amended. And I have a note to change maybe to has been in the relevant section.
All in favor? All right. Next up on the agenda is the municipal update roundtable. Who would like to start? Carol, do you have something from Algonquin Highlands?
I'm sorry, I don't really have anything from Algonquin Highlands. I did want to comment earlier that I'm pleased to see that the district or the Book Depot in Dorset is still seeing a fair trade. It's not a great trade, but it's a fair trade, so that's good. But I did just want to say that in case you haven't seen it, Donald Trump has become the first president the second time. So I thought that was
wow.
I just saw that, Carol. Quite interesting.
Yeah.
Great news.
But the only thing that it's not roundtable, and I apologize.
Yeah.
It's not on the agenda because the agenda was published prior to the second emergency being issued by the province. And Erin did send us an email. Were we going to add that? And maybe so the slide deck's come out. It's status quo, I believe, for libraries, Erin. So, but did we just want to have a little chat about that at all? It's not on the agenda though.
No, but it's important. Did you have anything to add, Erin? Was there any? We're doing curbside, so.
That's right. So really nothing has changed necessarily since my email to you. The Ontario Library Service did send out an interpretation of the legislation as it had been presented at that point. Now, I believe that the stay-at-home order legislation is supposed to come out this evening, the wording specifically.
I have it in front of me.
Okay. But yeah, my understanding is that it is status quo for us. We are fortunate in the fact that we have been operating in such a way that we have been minimizing staff in the workplace in the spirit of physical distancing, that piece of advice that we've received from the health unit. And because of that, we really have only had staff in the workplace where it has been crucial for them to do their job. So we are just continuing along that vein. Staff who can work from home are working from home and have been.
Carol?
Yeah, just the provincial slide deck that came out with the updates. It's status quo from the December 26th slide deck. So the updates are in red, and there's nothing red in the library section. So that's good.
Okay. Liz, you had a comment? Question?
Oh yeah, sorry, I just had to refocus there. I was looking at news. I just wanted to ask about, because when we first started doing curbside, we were only doing it at the larger branches, but we're now prepared to and can still offer curbside at all branches.
That's right. Yeah.
Andrea?
So, and what Carol just said about not being on agenda, it is. If municipal roundtable, we're talking about our facilities and our buildings and what else we have to share. So that's totally qualifies and all that. So one thing I just want to note is Dysart had its second budget meeting, and to ensure for the councillors on the committee to make sure when you're doing your budgeting process to see the requests for facility updates, upgrades are, you want to speak to them when you get to your budget. And also we had a reminder, maybe that'll come in our work plan, that to follow up. I know particularly with the Minden branch and the Dysart branch, and due to COVID, there was a lot of things that were not able to be completed last year. So both Lisa, Shell, and myself wanted to make sure that we followed up with our facilities to make sure those things got done this year.
Okay. Cease, anything from Highlands East? Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah, not a whole lot, but I want to thank Andrea for reminding me to remind our people that we still have library repairs that need to be dealt with, and we want to make absolutely sure. I think it probably comes under our building maintenance, so it's not going to be a line item in itself, but we need to be able to consider that. And another thing that probably has little to do with the library board is we're going to be setting up our advisory committees. Hopefully, we don't think we're going to be able to make it in January, but we will be doing it in February.
Okay. A quick question for Algonquin Highlands people. How are the renos going at the Stanhope Library?
No idea.
Okay, well, just thought I'd put that out there.
I did send an email to the township just to see if there was any updates, and there just aren't any at this point. So, and they said they'll keep me posted, so I'm happy with that.
Okay, good. Linda, how are the Friends of the Library doing? Oh, you're on mute too.
Muted finally. Okay, basically the one really good piece of news is that all the proceeds from the Canoe Tuesday night bingo for half a year went to the Friends of the Library, and they got over $10,400 out of that. So that's a good amount that can be used by the library, specifically, I guess, for ebooks. As far as other funds that they have, they of course are having difficulty because most of their funds either came from selling memberships, and that was usually done at the gala or the lunch and learns, and they didn't have any of those this year. And then of course they would also raise money through book sales, but they haven't been able to get into the libraries to do that. So their accounts and membership are lower than they have been for a while, but it is good news that they got money through Canoe Bingo. Other than that, not really any more news at this point.
Okay, thank you. Yay for bingo.
Yes.
Lots of money gets made with bingo. And just as an aside, I happen to be a part of the bingo team at Canoe. I'm sometimes calling the lucky numbers or the unlucky numbers for some people. So Andy keeps complaining that he doesn't win when I call. Andy's my husband, so Okay, so any other comments from your municipalities? We're all good. Next up, we have the working committee reports and the annual review of working committee composition. So you sent something out, Erin, on that.
Yes, just on an annual basis, we send out, we give you the committee composition. So who's sitting on which committees, which committees are active. So I included the Service Delivery and Strategic Planning Committee under committees established but delayed because this was work that was originally scheduled to be done in 2020. However, obviously with COVID and the very rapid changes that occurred because of that, that sort of got pushed off. So that should probably be on the board's radar in terms of doing that work as according to our planning policy. And that might even be something that's further clarified during board training as well. That might give, you know, a little more oomph to that. So I just have that on there as composition at this point to be determined. And the two active committees that we have been, that we got going again at the end of last year, after we kind of had halted things with COVID, are the policy committee and the advocacy committee. The policy committee tends to be the most consistent one just because we are working on that schedule according to our policies. So.
Cease, did you have your hand up or was that? Oh, okay. Carol and then Liz.
I'm wondering, I know we don't have a robust panel of committees, but the policy committee's mandate is fairly clear. Advocacy committee, we should call it something else because that's a difficult word to say. Are there any terms of reference is what I'm looking for? Do we need them? Most committees that are undertaking work have some sort of terms of reference attached to them. Does that exist?
Erin?
Frozen.
Uh-oh.
I think I might be back.
Yeah.
I can hear you.
Okay. I just thought I'll just wait and see if it kicks back in. We do have a terms of reference for the advocacy committee, and I can certainly send that out.
Do we have a terms of reference for all the committees? I mean, as the policy committee, but the service delivery and strategic planning committee, it doesn't, it's not active, but is there a terms of reference for it?
I can see if I can find one. It's a little bit before my time because I came in in the middle of the last strategic plan. So.
Okay. Liz?
I'm just wondering if after we have our training session or working session that we can bring the issue of committees with whatever terms of reference Erin can find back for a kind of a general discussion about how we might move forward with reactivating them. I know that there were or previously have been, two members of the library board on each committee, and I think that Jen was on the advocacy committee. Actually, I think she was a chair for a while. I don't know how much work was done, but I see that there's just Andrea and then 3 members of the public. So, maybe if we could have an overall committee structure discussion and membership and see what we've got for terms of reference and, just sort of have a little review of our committee structure.
And you would like that at the planning session?
Well, no, after we have the planning session.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
Talk about committee structure that might give us some insight. into, better direction to take. So I would, if we have our meeting or our training session in February, then maybe we could bring that to our March meeting.
Okay. Are people okay with that? Any comments, questions? We're all good? All right. And so moving on to the next agenda item is the annual, the review of the annual work plan. And
sorry, I should have put that this is just a draft that is coming to this meeting, and then in February is when we'd normally confirm the annual work plan. So
okay.
I've updated it with some of the goals that were listed in the vocabulary in the board self-evaluation, as well as just moved some things around to reflect the current schedule for the budget, which I noticed I didn't update to being 2021, so that should be 2021. So some of this stuff moves around a little bit. It's a plan as opposed to set in stone sometimes. But if there's any.
Sorry, Andrea?
Well, just back to something I mentioned when we're talking round table is the facilities report. So for some reason, I thought we were going to do that at the 6-month mark. So I don't know why I thought, so I thought I'd said May, but I thought it was May or June that we were going to touch base on that, not September. But does anyone else recall that?
Sorry, Andrea, I do recall you saying that, and I neglected to put that in. So
No,
I
not
will
just me
do
saying it. Not in this meeting. I thought when we brought it up before that we said we would do a review at 6 months, and I thought that time frame landed around May or June, just to keep it going. Yeah.
Liz?
Yeah, I think that's good timing anyway, just to make sure that things are on track and that we're actually getting the work done. If you leave it until September before you get a report on it, and the next thing you know, it's not done that year. So I think no later than mid-year is good.
Any other comments, questions? Someone whistling?
Yeah,
That's-
in my world, it's the only person
Somebody's
that whistles at me these days is my phone.
Oh dear.
That's the phone.
So Erin, you'll make those adjustments to the work plan? We don't vote on this, or there's no resolution, it's our work plan, right?
That's right. I think there's a resolution when we confirm it in February.
Okay. And next meeting date.
So I do have a motion, and sorry, I was mistaken when I had answered David's question before. Basically, this is just the same motion as we had last year. If the board is still happy with the second Wednesday of the month at 4 o'clock, with 9 meetings to be held in January, February, April, May, June, September, October, November, and December.
So that's just a gap of July and August, right?
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
And March.
The reason I commented is that earlier you said, I think June, July, and August, and I thought 3 months of no meetings is maybe a bit too long. It should be broken up, but that sounds.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part, yes.
Andrea?
Just for the new member, also the chair can call a meeting for emergency purposes or whichever, if there's a pressing item. We've had that before as well. So these are our set regular meetings, but Aaron, correct me, somewhere we have policy and it talks about the chair can call a meeting if needed.
In our bylaws.
Mhm.
Now, last year we didn't have a meeting in March. Do we want to have a meeting in March this year?
Well, at that point, we might have our interim CEO, and I don't know if we'll need just to keep going, to keep the flow going when they get up to speed. That would be my only thought on having a meeting in March. I don't know, it wasn't in March last year because of meetings, but I don't know how many meetings people are going to these days that they're out of town. Liz, you're going to say something?
Actually, a couple of things, but it's not specific to the meeting in March. Maybe it is. I think that I'm sorry, I've just gone completely blank. I wanted to ask about the process. Like, are we going to, or when are we going to discuss the process that we're going to use in hiring that interim CEO position? Because I'm not sure I can't remember what the closing dates are, but they're not too far off.
18th,
And it might,
I believe, was the closing date.
I'm sorry?
The 18th, because it was going to be the week after this meeting.
Which would precipitate the need for us to put a process in place, and maybe the need for a meeting in March.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true.
Does the county have a hiring process that we would follow? Andrea?
So I thought at this meeting it was going to be on the agenda, and that's my mistake for not asking it to be added. But I thought we were going to have a hiring committee, not all of the library board, because that might be too difficult to do. So the chair and one other and a staff member is probably a good way. And we can also, I'll defer to Liz and Carol in hiring at the county. Do we have the county HR person involved in that as well? So working with Andrea Bull. And so I think it would be appropriate at this meeting to select a hiring committee. And I think there's no reason why we shouldn't have a March meeting. We're doing it virtually. So if for some reason we don't need it, but we should plug it in there, and we have gives us the flexibility if there's another month where we don't see that we have enough on the agenda, or we don't have quorum, or something else. So why not keep the March meeting for now?
Okay, can we add this to the agenda to discuss the nominating committee? We'd like to.
We can, if we all agree. I think we should have done that at the beginning when we adopted the agenda. But I mean, we also kind of neglected, any of us, to say, well, we really should be talking about this. And it's something that we have to talk about. So I would defer to the rest of the group, but I would suggest that we add it to the agenda.
Carol, you were.
If we add it to the agenda, do we need to go back and amend the agenda and then redo the resolution to adopt the agenda as amended?
I would. Aaron, is that proper?
I believe so. It might also fit in under working committees.
Yeah.
Okay.
And call it Sally, call it an ad hoc committee, because that's all it is. It's for one purpose, and create the ad hoc committee.
So we're putting this under the working committee and we're calling it an ad hoc. And so you're suggesting the chair, the HR person, so that would be Andrea Bull would be part of the committee?
I think maybe there needs to be just a double check by either yourself or Aaron about, the hiring process that the county does use, because I think it's a little bit different. This is a different situation, but I think that Andrea could probably clarify, if there's somebody else that needs to be involved.
From the county, or,
Yeah.
All right. but we would have another person from the board on this ad hoc committee. And I think we should determine who that individual would be now, if people are okay with that. Andrea?
I'd be happy to put my name forward to be on the hiring committee as well. I think I've been on the library board a long time, and I've been on several hiring committees at Dysart over the years, so I feel comfortable doing that. It's a lot of work reading everybody's resume and going through the hiring process, but I would put, unless someone else desperately wants to do that.
Anybody?
The word desperate came in there, and I'm not sure anybody's that desperate. Oh, that's great. I'm happy with that. I did not think that I should put my name forward because I'm ex officio as opposed to a standard board member.
All right, if everyone is happy with that, we don't vote on this sort of thing, do we? We just accept your Andrea as the other person on the ad hoc committee. Carol?
Sorry, who else? Who's else is on this?
Someone said the chair, which would be me.
Andrea.
Andrea Bull and Andrea Roberts. And is that it? Just 3 people? Like, I don't know.
Andrea?
Generally, when you're hiring someone, you have the department head in that department. We don't have a department head. As acting CAO, Erin, are you able to be on that or not?
If the board wants me on it, I can be on it.
Liz, then Carol?
I can see that might be very helpful because there'd be some questions that would come up that maybe only Erin can answer. It's great that Andrea's there because she has been on the board for some period of time. So, has a lot of the background information. I just want to make sure that it's not an uncomfortable position that we'd be putting you in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, then I think Erin should be there too.
Cease?
Yeah, I think she should be there, but for the reverse of what Liz just said, Erin's the one who can ask the right questions to make sure we got the right candidate.
Okay. Liz?
To Cisa's comment about questions, I think that there needs to be some, that's another thing that Andrea Bull can help you with, because there will have to be a set of questions developed for that process. And there are some standard questions that are templates of things of some of the things, the information that you're looking for, that you will probably get some help from her on. And then there would have to be some, I would think, specific library related
Questions, yeah.
That you'll have to develop in advance.
Andrea?
Yeah, that's a really good point, because we're not hiring a full-time position, we're hiring a temporary position. So also we'd want to get clarification from Andrea before in terms of what corporate devices like cell phones and laptops, and is this person able to work from home? We're hiring someone under COVID. It'll be an interview process like this. So we've got some extra added questions, concerns, and we really need Andrea Bull for that.
Yeah. What I was going to suggest is that I will get in touch with Andrea Bull and ask those questions and ask what their process is, because they probably have hired people within the last year under COVID restrictions and Zoom interviews and things like that. It's not uncommon now. So I'm hoping that they do have a list of sort of fairly standard questions, and then maybe the ad hoc committee can go through those questions and then tailor them for the library, what we would need for the library, if that works for everybody. Any other comments? Because we'd like this person to start as soon as possible. So the last day for resumes is the 18th. So I'm not sure how quickly we can ramp this up, but I will talk to Andrea about that as well. And this will all be before our next meeting. I don't know I can send out an email with just bullets just to update people if that works on the process, if you want that or not.
Sure.
That would be helpful.
Okay, just so you're kind of in the loop as to what the process is, and that we do have questions, and that we have Andrea helping us out on this hiring process. All right. Is there anything else to do with that, Liz?
There was a couple of things. One, I was just thinking, because David is a new board member and he does not have the background history on how we got to this point of hiring an interim CEO and what the terms are about that. So I'm not sure about the suitability, but I'm just thinking that there should be or could be a private conversation between the chair and David as a new member.
Yeah, I can
How we landed here
later.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Does that sound reasonable to everybody?
Yep.
The other point
Yes.
that I wanted to make kind of goes back to our meeting schedule, and forgive me for saying this, but it also ties in with the action plan for the year. Was that last year we had planned on doing a facilities visit, and I think that that's still an important thing for us to do when and if we can. Obviously, that's not going to happen until later on in the year. But I think we need to try and keep that on the radar, that we do a facilities visit, and that may tie in with, having an extra meeting during one of those months where, where we don't normally have a meeting. We could alternate the tour for meeting.
And I think that was done one of the first years I was on the board, and it happened to be on a Saturday. And we did go to people did go to the facilities. So, and it's likely we can't really go to the facilities until the summer now because of COVID. So, but yes, that should be not forgotten.
Just on our radar.
Okay, anything else? I will call the meeting to end, adjourned.
Oh, sorry.
I don't have a hand or thing. Yes, Erin?
There is a resolution for the schedule of meetings.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Like I said, when I actually email you the
Yes, it'll be a lot easier.
it'll be so much easier. So the motion reads, be it resolved that the Haliburton County Library Board will have a total of 10 regular meetings in 2020 to be held on the second Wednesday of the month for the months of January, February, March, April, May, June, September, October, November, and December.
Andrea?
Moving.
Moving, a seconder. Linda? All in favor? All in favor? Okay, we've got all the motions done.
Except for
Just the adjournment.
Oh, okay, well, let's do that now.
Be it resolved.
We adjourn.
Be it resolved that the January 13th, 2021 regular meeting of the Haliburton County Library Board now adjourn.
Okay. Someone wants to? Linda, seconded. Liz, good.
And Dave, our meetings aren't always quite this wacky. I think
Okay.
I don't know.
All in favor.
All in favor, sorry,
Yes.
all in favor. Yes, you can all go home now or go to your kitchens and have dinner.
We are home.
Go and have your dinner.